Okay, here's a short one by Barth again. And Barth really has become a minimalist. I mean, a lot of these poets are minimalist, but he really is a minimalist. I mean, his latest poems, well, the latest poems that I've seen are couplets, rhyming couplets, and that's all he does, which is actually quite an antique form. It's like 2,000, 2,500 years old now, because the Romans, no, so pardon me, the Greeks, good Lord, the Greeks wrote in rhyming couplets was a form. The Japanese have a similar form as the haiku. There's 17 syllables organized in 3 lines. It's incredibly disciplined. The shorter the text, the more disciplined it must be. And this is generally true with most art, where the smaller the thing is, the more you observe it and you really do, so we can look at something and say, well, geez, this is not very long, it must not be very important. It's like, on the contrary, the shorter it is, the tighter it is, and probably the more wallop it's going to pack. So, okay. So this is the Office of the Dead, which is Graves registration, and so I'll talk about that, but first we'll look at the poem. Death's mostly distant here of late, and random with the seediness of plain bad luck, nothing like fate. But the dead are neither more nor less. Just dead. I check their metal tags for 8 hours till my duty eases, body counting the body bags. I do not have to count the pieces. Okay, so again, this issue of Graves registration is something which a number of people I know actually had to do this at different times. And I don't really know how anybody survives this particular detail. I know that now the Army trains people to be mortuary. They don't call them. They call it Graves registration. I think it's mortuary assistants, and they actually get training because the military is not just the Army, but the military overall has gone into the business of basically running its own. They're not going to call in a funeral home to deal with the body. They deal with the body. And so they have this whole huge process, which is, if you want to see, it's not grotesque or anything, it's just like, what is the process of, of moving a body, a dead body, and so on. Have a look at the first few minutes of a film called Taking Chance with Kevin Bacon, which is, I don't know, see what you think of it. It's interesting film. Yeah, but the first 3 minutes are basically about a young man who was killed in Iraq, I think it is, and then the process of his body is basically being processed by Graves registration mortuary, and how they undress the body, they wash it, they take aside the effects, the soldier's effects, the wristwatch if there is one, and the metals and so on, and everything is sealed, and a lot of it is frozen for transport. So it's very high tech, and then they show you essentially the other end, where they're getting the body ready and so on. So it's what they want you to see is how honorable it is and how much they honor the body and what a difference this is from Vietnam. So in Vietnam, as I've talked about before, what you've got is a hut basically, which would not be air conditioned as far as I remember, for the most part, which means the bodies start to go bad fast, and so the smell is going to be intolerable. I mean, it's the tropics, remember. So, if you think I don't know, your feet smell bad in the tropics, think about a dead body, right? It's not going to be a good thing. So here's the poet character, death's mostly distant here of late. It's like, well, it's right there, but it's like it's almost not, because the person's just become so detached, and detached here has the same kinds of incredible sort of implications that it does in DX, where detachment may mean that you are detached literally from the whole group ultimately, which is what happens. You can't get close to any man because they're all dead. And random with the seediness of plain bad luck. It's like there's nothing honorable about this. It's like, oh, whoops, this person got killed. That was nothing like fate. And so we realize that, we're in an ABAB rhyme scheme here, right? There's a late seediness, fate, less. That that seediness less, where they don't quite rhyme, is called an eye rhyme, because it looks right to your eyes, not eye, the me kind of eye, but you're this kind of eye. So it looks right to the eyes, but when you actually read it out, it's like, oh, no. Again is often used that way. So you'll see something like refrain and then again, but we don't say again, you say again. So again is often an eye rhyme. Just dead. They're not. This is not some great, heroic bunch of dead. It's like, no, it's just death. I checked their metal tags for 8 hours. So it's just like 8 hours. This is your duty. You got to be on till my duty ceases. Body counting the body bags, and then this is a typical Barth ending where it's just savage. I mean, if you thought up to that point, it's like, oh well, this isn't so bad. I do not have to count the pieces, and this is the thing that I've talked about before with industrial warfare, where very simply there are lots and lots of bodies that are just no longer whole, and the pieces may have been lost along the way. So again, remarkable piece of compression, of just squeezing all this stuff down into this. Barth is a very angry guy, and it makes a lot of sense why when you read these texts. Okay.